Emily Benson glanced at her brightly decorated parlor and let out a soft sigh. A Yule log crackled cheerfully in the hearth, surrounded by garlands of pine. Crepe streamers in vibrant reds and greens cascaded from the ceiling corners, framing the crystal chandelier overhead. The tree gleamed with tiny fairy lights and tinsel, topped with a little angel that reminded her of one of her students. Her eyes moved upwards, where holiday cards, each a memory of a friend, a colleague, or an acquaintance, were lovingly taped along the crown molding. Most of them were from the young men she'd mentored, guiding them to maturity through the unique lessons she had to offer. Except for Charlie Harris III, known as Charlotte, every one of her boys had sent her a card. She hadn't expected anything from Charlotte. He had a complicated history with her and likely wouldn't be feeling much fondness towards her anytime soon. Maybe one day, he'd understand her method and recognize it for what it was, a tough love that aimed to help him. Charlotte had been a difficult case. He was brash, arrogant, and defiant. But it wasn't just that. His approach to life was about to change. Once the new year came, he'd be turning 18, and his mother's authority would no longer hold sway. This was the moment Emily had been waiting for, and Charlotte was about to face her full course of studies. Initially, he fought back. But Emily's experience and her method were too much for him to handle. He lost, and though he resisted, it had been an incredibly difficult and painful process for him. If she had more time, she would have taken a gentler approach. But time wasn't on her side. She had to act decisively, even if that meant being tougher than she would have liked. Despite all of her efforts, Charlotte never truly warmed to her. He didn't get to experience the camaraderie of working with a junior student, which often formed the bond that solidified the lessons Emily taught. Choosing not to bring in a new student after Charlotte's big sister graduated was a deliberate decision. Charlotte's graduation was imminent, 2 months after his sister left. Emily could no longer keep him under her guidance. His birthday would soon mark his legal adulthood. No matter how far she pushed him, he was leaving. A week ago, Emily realized that she had done everything she could for Charlotte. The transformation in him was remarkable, and she hadn't found anything in his manners or behavior that displeased her for days. But keeping him through the holidays, still in skirts, would have achieved little. It might have even pushed him to reject everything she had taught him and fall back into his old ways. So, she let him go. Charlotte didn't speak a word when Emily informed him of his graduation. He allowed Caro and Heather to return him to his masculine appearance without protest. He left without saying goodbye, not even a glance back. The silence of his departure hurt Emily deeply. Even now, the memories stung. She had been tough on her students before, and in time, they came to appreciate her methods and the help she offered. They even came to care for her. But the emptiness she felt when they left was hard to bear, especially this time. There was no one else in the house to focus on, no one else to distract her from the sense of loss, the loneliness, and the pain. She wondered, with a touch of sadness, why the women in so much of the TG fiction online never seemed to feel this way. It would be easier if she could mask her emotions like they did, if she could be indifferent, robotic. She was good at wearing that mask of indifference, at hiding her empathy while making her students face their fears and humiliations. But it was just a mask. A woman who dedicated her life to helping young men couldn't do so without a caring heart, even if she couldn't always show it. It was just the holiday season, Emily reminded herself, trying to shake off the gloom. Everyone had their own struggles, and this time of year seemed to make those feelings more intense. At least her other boys had sent their cards, and she couldn't help but smile as she scanned the rows of greeting cards one last time. If only she weren't alone, she thought, frustration creeping in. She could get through the melancholy that had set in after Marie left for church and to spend the day with her family in Providence, if only there was someone to spend the day with. In years past, Marie and Emily had always done something special with the boys they had at the time. For a few days, the boys were allowed to relax and enjoy themselves, still in skirts but free from the constant mental games and verbal tests that were part of Emily's method. A few times, mothers had joined them for the Christmas meal. One time it had gone smoothly, with the mother praising her son's progress, but the other time had been a disaster, when the mother teased her son mercilessly, setting Emily back weeks. This was the first Christmas in nearly 20 years that Emily didn't have at least one of the boys with her. The Victorian house felt so empty, so lifeless. She thought about inviting some friends over, but that didn't pan out. Carolyn and Bill were spending the holidays at a mountain lodge in Vermont, and Marie, Heather, and Betty were all out of town with their families. Her work colleagues were not particularly close. The brandy decanter caught her eye, but she resisted. She refused to meet Marie tomorrow with bloodshot eyes and a hangover. That would only make Marie feel guilty for leaving her alone. Besides, Emily hated feeling defeated. Quietly, she walked to the door, took one last look at the tree and decorations, then turned off the lights. The door clicked shut behind her, echoing in the quiet house. Emily tried to watch television, but everything she turned to reminded her of what she was trying to escape. It's a Wonderful Life was the last straw. She switched off the TV and threw the remote across the room. The radio was no better, every station played carols, Joy to the World, and more. She couldn't focus enough to read or work. Bloody hell, she muttered, I'm about to scream bah humbug just to get male ordnance ghosts to visit me. Oh well. I'm going to take a nap. Maybe I can sleep through most of the day. The house was dark as two figures in dark clothing crept toward the back. Are you sure she's here? Shoo! Where else would she be? She's rich, remember? If she's not, we'll catch her when she gets back. Now, let me get this lock. The back door opened quietly on well-oiled hinges. Let's make sure we know where she is before we do anything, one of them whispered. They checked the downstairs but found no sign of life. Let's check her room, the shorter one said. Watch the step, it squeaks. Guess you found that out the hard way, came the amused reply. Damn heels, the other muttered. Wait here, I'll move faster on my own. Moments later, they slipped down the stairs. She's sound asleep. Hell of a way to spend Christmas, sleeping. And alone, no less. Let's get to work. We have a lot to do in the next hour. Help me set up this electronic stuff. You sure it'll work? The tech guy at my dad's company said so. Get it set up right, and it's like a video game with a joystick. Oh, and go unlock the front door before we get started. Something tugged at Emily's consciousness. She stretched and tried to sink deeper into her blankets. She didn't want to wake up, not on Christmas. Wake up, Emily. Her eyes snapped open at the eerie voice calling her name. Had she been dreaming? Wake up, Emily. The voice echoed from outside her door. Marie? Is that you? She asked, her heart racing. No, Emily, I am not Marie. I am the ghost of Christmas, and I'm here to show you the true meaning of Christmas. Come to me, Emily. I don't believe this, Emily thought, startled. And I didn't say bah humbug, damn it. Someone was in her house, and she was alone. Her gun was in the study. Emily slipped into her shoes, grabbed her keys, and found the black iron poker by her bedroom fireplace. Maybe she could get to the garage and her car. Slowly, she opened the door, poker raised. Hello, Emily. You won't need that, the voice said gently from above her as she looked out the door. Emily's head shot up, gasping and dropping the poker. A semi-transparent figure floated above her, a young man dressed in a red tunic and green leggings. Finding her voice, Emily managed to squeak, "You're a ghost?" "Indeed." "Now, follow me, please," the voice directed, then began floating toward the stairs. Confused but no longer feeling threatened, Emily moved to follow. "Aren't you supposed to offer me your hand or tell me to touch your coat so I can fly with you?" she asked, trying to lighten the moment. "Only for long hops," the voice cheerily replied from the head of the stairs. "Have to conserve energy these days." "Oh, all right. But I don't understand why all Christmas spirits are male. Leave it to you, Emily Benson, to complain about that. I wasn't planning to do this quite yet, but the best laid plans of mice, men, and ghosts, right? The spirit sighed, and as it did, the tunic turned green and the leggings red, lengthening to form a more feminine shape. The ghost's features softened, becoming distinctly female, and her hair shifted with the transformation. Better now? The now female spirit asked, dressed in a green dress and red stockings. At Emily's stunned nod, the spirit floated down the stairs, and Emily followed, blinking in the dim light of the house. At the foot of the stairs, the spirit gestured toward Emily's parlor door. "Wait for me in there," she ordered with a feminine voice. "I'll prepare your Christmas experience." With that, the spirit vanished. Still bewildered, Emily decided to follow the instructions. She carefully opened the door, feeling for the light switch on the doorframe. It clicked loudly, and the sudden brightness momentarily blinded her. "Merry Christmas, Aunt Jane!" The sudden shout nearly knocked Emily over, but before she could react, a group of hands swept her into the parlor. The very full parlor. Emily blinked, her mind struggling to process what she was seeing. Her boys. The room was packed with her boys, each dressed in their feminine alter egos. They looked like the cute female Santa's helpers at the mall, wearing red velvety mini dresses with white fur trim and matching stocking hats. There was Beth, David, Charlene, Charlie, Erica, Eric, Darla, Daryl, Valerie, Eugene, Joan, John, and so many others. How in the world did they get here? Emily's head spun, and she felt dizzy, almost afraid she might faint. Before she could process further, she was passed from one student to the next, hugged and kissed at each stop. Finally, she ended up by the tree, where she came to a stop. Kneeling next to a computer was Charlie? Trip? The beautifully made-up face beneath a floppy red Santa hat looked up from the screen. "Charlotte, Aunt Emily," she said before leaping into Emily's arms. Emily pulled back from the hug, noticing Heather and Kate beaming at the pair of them. "But what? Who? How?" she stuttered. Kate grinned. "Marie told me you were going to be alone. I was going to come up, but then I got a better idea. I called the guys in your rogues gallery and asked if they could come for the day. And Heather cut in, spent the whole day getting them ready." She snorted with exasperation. "Forgot everything we taught them, Emily. Every single one of them." "But the ghost, how did you do that?" Emily asked, still confused. "Holography, Aunt Emily," Charlotte explained. "Charlene and I set up an infrared network with holographic projectors around your bedroom and staircase. A few speakers and microphones, so I could have a little chat with you. And voila, instant ghost." Charlotte's face grew mischievous. "I even planned the petticoating of the ghost for you, though I originally planned to do it myself before you asked for it." Emily stood there, stunned. More than half of her boys were here, just to be with her. "And you all came?" she whispered. Kate took Emily's hand. "Well, everyone who could make it on such short notice. Some had family commitments they couldn't get out of. Charlotte's got a conference call set up later tonight, so those who couldn't come will still be with us in spirit. I got everyone airline tickets, and Charlotte arranged for the ones who couldn't get tickets by sending her father's company's corporate jet for them." "You all came," Emily repeated, still in disbelief. "Even Charlotte?" Charlotte embraced Emily again. "Even me," she said, rising onto her tiptoes and planting a soft kiss on Emily's cheek. "Thank you for everything, Aunt Emily," she whispered. "And Merry Christmas." A sharp whistle cut through the cheerful chatter, making Emily jump into Charlotte's arms. She spun around to see Heather grinning, her fingers still at her lips. "All right, you girls. Let's head to the kitchen and get the good china out. Kate's caterers will be here in about half an hour, and we need to be ready. I, for one, am starving. I've worked my fingers to the bone today." Heather complained loudly. Hold on a second, Heather. Kate interjected, raising her hands high. Everyone ready? Instantly, all eyes in the room turned to Kate. Sing, she commanded, giving the downbeat. For she's a jolly good fellow, for she's a jolly good fellow. Wait a minute! Emily protested, laughing. I'm not any kind of fellow. Charlotte lifted a finger to Emily's lips, silencing her. If you can turn us into honorary ladies, then we think we can make you an honorary fellow. Right, girls? Right, came the resounding response. Then, they all broke into song, for she's a jolly good fellow low, which nobody can deny. Yay! Merry Christmas, Aunt Emily. The tears Emily had been holding back all day began to fall, but now they were tears of joy, not loneliness. With a strength born of love, Emily pulled Charlotte and Kate into a tight hug. Merry Christmas to all of you, my darlings. Thank you for making this the best Christmas of my life. Don't thank them yet, Emily, Heather teased. You haven't seen the presents. Emily scanned the room once more, taking in the bright, happy faces. She turned back to Heather, her smile wide and permanent. Oh, but I have, Heather. And I've never seen anything like this before. If you appreciated this story and wish to show your support, don't forget to join me on Patreon for exclusive content.